Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
We give you the courtesy of conversation.
That's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac,
I'm Wesley.
and this is the show.
What's
Don't
going on,
forget
my guy?
to, nothing, I'm chilling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast or our show
Hit
with
that
everybody.
notification button.
Thank you all for tuning in and dealing with us. Don't forget our sponsor, Doc Loves the Kids. You check them out at doclovesthekids.org. Has a lot of stuff with all the proceeds go to help the less fortunate.
And the kids in the community, we appreciate you for all your support. Let's start this show off, man, with a report from Gaza. Devastating Israeli raid to free 4 hostages kills 270 plus Palestinians, man. And one of the
how many did they kill? My bad.
270 plus. You know, that's to free 4 people. And we're going to talk more about it, but in one of the single bloodiest Israeli attacks in Gaza over the last 8 months, at least 274 Palestinians were killed, including at least 64 children, and nearly 700 were wounded in a raid on the Nuseirat refugee camp on Saturday that freed 4 Israeli-held hostages in Gaza since October 7th. Children were shot dead. Elderly people were shot dead. Women were shot dead, says the Gaza-based journalist Akram al-Satarri, who was at the Nuseirat refugee camp on Saturday, speaking to us from outside the Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir, al-Balah, which I'm sure I got some of that wrong, but bear with me. One of the last remaining hospitals that are partially functioning in Gaza. Al-Satarri says the death toll is rising by the minute as wounded Palestinians aren't able to receive the care they need. Also discusses the World Food Program's recent suspension of aid operations in Gaza City and Israel's withholding of aid on the entire Gaza Strip. Man,
they could have told all the people to get down and lay on the ground.
I mean, I don't know if that would have been as easy as that, because I mean, there was some fighting going on. I guess it was 2 hours of fighting going on to go and free the hostages. I understand they, you know, the Americans, I guess we gave them some information that helped in this raid. But to me, the timing of all of this just feels strange, man. Because okay, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, Benny Gantz, who's the defense minister,
centrist member of Israel's the 3-man war cabinet. He announced his resignation on Sunday.
Let me but he actually told him 2 weeks ago that he was going to be he would be leaving the cabinet by June 8th if they didn't have a plan for the day after in Gaza. And so he told Netanyahu this, and he told him he needed to step down as well. But he told him 2 weeks ago. And so now I believe this was maybe possibly a day or so before, 2 days ago, this happened. And like happened a day or two before he was supposed to step down. Now all of a sudden you free 4 hostages, and then Netanyahu goes on Twitter or somewhere and he types in, this isn't the time for for division and for dissolution, of the cabinet. You should basically telling, Benny Gantz to stay. But a day before he's supposed to.
They know where all those hostages are. There's probably 5 left that they probably need to pull out.
There's still over 100 and something hostages. There's still a good amount of hostages left.
They know where they're all at. They know how to get to them. They're trying to kill all the Palestinians. You know what I'm saying? And America's gonna let it happen because America has plans to do it themselves. They're gonna kill these immigrants. They're gonna kill everybody depending on who gets in the office. They're gonna kill all their enemies and everybody, and then make up all these. Oh, they have tunnels underground.
I just feel like Netanyahu, like you said, he knows where these hostages are.
Yeah.
And it's a strange time. And the day before this guy's supposed to, he already told you that he was going to step down. You find 4 hostages, then you ask him pretty much not to step down and make him look like he's, he had to postpone his announcement just so he wouldn't take away from the, from the announcement of the hostages being freed, and let people live in that joy and that pride of, okay, we got hostages home. But even after the hostages were announced being freed that day, I believe it was Saturday or wherever, they still had huge protests throughout the city on that night. From a bunch of Jewish people went into the streets in Tel Aviv and protested outside. Tens of thousands of people were outside there spraying with water guns.
They have to live with the aftermath of what he's doing. This is leaving a bad taste in the world's mouth.
And everybody's mouth. You know what I'm saying? And it's just gotten to a point where you killed 270 people plus people.
Women, children, old people, men.
You should have seen the carnage. That's one thing if we get a clip of it, the carnage from it, the children who were just it's bad, bro. I mean, you watching babies. They got babies laid out on the ground, man. Little kids, little girls, little boys. You know, it's just like, when is enough going to be enough? A person came on our one of our viewers came on the page and left a comment, basically said that, you guys are supposed to live in a democracy, but Israel basically runs you guys, runs your foreign policy and your domestic policy. And they laughed and I put a LOL. And I don't know where this person's from, but obviously it didn't sound like, they're from America. But it's hard to defend that. It's hard to
Yeah,
say that it's not
you
true.
can't defend it, man. Like I had a guy come on, and I think I shared the video with you where he went in front of everybody and he explained even about COVID. He said all the people that run the CDC have dual citizenship with Israel. So it's like, like every last one of them. And so I was
Yeah.
like, man, that's crazy. I looked it up myself and I was like, no, this is ridiculous. How are you having a dual citizenship and you're running anything in our government?
You look at, I mean, our like large pieces of our people who run our government are from cabinet members and people who are not necessarily the House members or the Senate members, people who just work, staffers who work behind the scenes. Large portion of these people are Jewish. This is not to say that we're not against Jewish people at all. This is not about that. But things tend to be kind of strange when all the messaging is on point with what these people want to do from this country, a foreign country. That's what the problem is. The problem is not the people who live here. The problem is that the people who live here are taking cues from a foreign government. And we would look at Donald Trump differently when we felt like he took cues from Russia. We looked at him funny. We looked at him differently. So why shouldn't we do the same thing for anyone else who's from somewhere else who's not doing what America?
It's weird, and they shut it down. They try to hide it. I mean, even think about Hollywood. You know who runs that? And then, it's kind of crazy how all the pedophile stuff just kind of goes away, like Epstein's Island, all the stuff that goes on in Hollywood with all the children being molested, and it kind of just goes away. Like I ain't pointing fingers, but you put 2 + 2 = 4.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's just gotten to a point to where we can't keep on looking over this and acting like we don't really see the truth about what's happening.
I'm saying that they slaughtered 240 people, got rid of the media, and the U.S. can't even stop them. So what happens when they decide to come after us? Which they've come after the Black Americans, African Americans. They've even said it. They need to take our youth out, and destroy them mentally. So I mean, it's rest of America needs to, like, I guess, wake up and realize, that these people that are running our government aren't for us. They're for a foreign entity.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point to where we can't even trust what our government's even doing anymore, especially not when it comes to Israel. I've never, like I said, we've talked about this 100 times. We've never seen our government walk in lockstep with someone and not question them. 274 people, man. That's
a lot
crazy.
Of killing.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the Benny Gantz and really looking at trying to figure out, why did he really leave? What was it? I know his purpose of it. He said basically that he felt like Netanyahu didn't have a day after plan. He didn't have a plan to exit Gaza, and Netanyahu said, he's
trying to kill everybody, so there's no witnesses to come back and tell anybody about what they've been doing, how the people were treated, how they're killing women, children, raping women and children, doing all this stuff. And he knows that the high court, the ICC, International Criminal Court, is coming from him. No matter how much America tries to sanction the court, you know what I'm saying, they're still going to come for him. They're going to be charged with war crimes, just like the Nazis.
This dude basically said that, I mean, Netanyahu was basically like, we're going to think about what we'll do the day after when we finish with Hamas.
Yeah, he knows they're going to move in. That's what they're going to do.
This is their exact plan. I mean, one of their their far right, one of these guys, I can't remember his name. He's demanding to be a part of the cabinet now, and he's one of their far right religious zealots. Let's call him what he is. But Benny Gantz basically why the departure of the Israeli war cabinet member Benny Gantz does and doesn't matter. Gone from the war cabinet, gone from the government. Benny Gantz is back where he was at the start of the war. Hamas launched on October 7th. I don't call it a war. This is these people talking, saying it's a war. This is an attack. But also, Hamas did attack Israel first. Let's be clear. They did. An ex-defense minister, ex-chief of staff, and Prime Minister is Benjamin Netanyahu's chief political rival. You can't say he didn't warn us. On May 18th, he announced that if Netanyahu didn't come up with a coherent plan to bring the hostages home and the governance of a post-war Gaza, among other things, then he'd leave the war cabinet by June 8th. In light of Saturday's rescue of 4 Israeli hostages, he delayed making good on his threat by 1 day. Now, think about that, like we just had talked about. Leaving the government is a complex and painful decision, Gantz said in a televised statement on Sunday evening in Israel. Netanyahu prevents us from moving forward to a real victory in Gaza. That is why we are leaving the emergency government today with a heavy heart, but with a whole heart. And so this is a person who I feel like at the end of the day, he understands that Netanyahu is making them less safe. He knows that right now he's being controlled by the far right of this government, and it's just not working out for him. So I'm happy that he left. I'm happy that he left in a protest kind of a way. But basically on the day that he's supposed to leave, you all of a sudden have knowledge of 4 hostages. We help you with reconnaissance. We tell you, we sent our drones have been flying over the area the entire time. So this is another thing they said too. We've been having drones flying over this area the entire time. We're recording everything. So you're seeing everything that's really going on. So all the lies Israel's telling you, we know what's really happening, because they just admitted today that this is how we found out where the hostages were, because we gave them intelligence on from our drones.
I mean, Israel really didn't say nothing when America was slaughtering Iraqis and people in Afghanistan for 20 years.
But they wanted that to happen. That's something that Iraq was a prime enemy of Israel. Saddam Hussein, hated Israel. They wanted us to get rid of that problem. Afghanistan, they didn't care about that. That was just a breeding ground for terrorists at that point in time. They didn't have any real military.
And I mean, what's the true definition of a terrorist? You know what I'm saying? If you're in your homeland, like that's like in America, it's like you're in your homeland, you don't like what's going on. A foreign government comes in there and starts overtaking you, and you want to fight back. You know what I'm saying? Out here, we call them Minuteman and freedom fighters, but the other side is going to call them terrorists
and insurgents. They're
Yeah.
gonna call you an insurgent. If someone were to come into America and we were to fight back, they would call the insurgency. They would call us insurgents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you got to be careful about what they say about you and how they label these people, especially in these countries, man. I just think about, I can't imagine sleeping, just hearing bombs dropping, drones flying overhead, people coming in, 240 people. That's like someone going to a youth basketball game and shooting everybody in there because they saved 4 basketballs.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much what it sounds like. You know what I mean? So that's a tough one, man. It's just something I really felt like we needed to really keep on point with, because 270, man, that's just today. It said over 37,000 people are dead, in this conflict. I mean, as it stands. So, we can move on, but
yeah.